In the second episode of this spy thriller, which was produced by Taylor Sheridan, the female military agents of the CIA's Lioness program are back on the prowl in an exciting new mission. A U.S. congresswoman is abducted in the two-episode opening, setting the stage for a season in which the tough officer in command, Joe McNamara Saldana, must face harsh realities. In a game that can be dirty at times, Joe is a very clean player. Saldana told TV Insider, "You'll go in-depth with Joe as she's discovering this. Navigating a setting where everyone is hiding secrets is challenging. That makes the unit hostile and doubtful." Hello everybody, hope you are having a good day. Before going to the main topic, I want to say like this video and subscribe to the channel. The actress discusses how she trained harder than ever for the badass part, teases new developments for the A-list cast, and gives us more details about the high-stakes action. Saldana, Joe will be doing a lot more work than just making choices and planning the operations, raising the stakes to the point that Joe is forced to question why she is still here is what Taylor truly wanted for him. Taylor has done some study. There is a lot of fact in what we do, and I'm fairly certain that there is also a lot of fiction since he is surrounded by individuals who are experts in their disciplines. This season will be even hotter because of that. This one is going to be hot. The missions of Joe and Kyle McManus, Thad Luckenbill, a CIA agent and Joe's co-worker, overlap. For Joe, that is a major wake-up call. These distinctions must occasionally be blurred in order to carry out operations effectively. Joe struggles between having an oath that she doesn't want to break and a moral code that she simply has as a person. You pledge to maintain complete confidentiality and safeguard data, even from members of your own team. That breeds distrust and animosity. Joe needs to get the team back on track. Caitlin is a machine, and she has been brought up and taught as such. Caitlin and Joe are a formidable team as long as they are fighting together. Will it be absolutely assured that they are both on the same side at all times? No, that's their responsibility. It's their responsibility to keep everyone, including one another, guessing. We will witness the true nature of this connection and the brutality with which these women may accomplish their goals. They all share the trait of being ardent patriots who have faith in their actions. The distinction is that losing a lioness is difficult for Joe. She can't comprehend it. Cruz was prepared to go. I'm not claiming that she will return. For the fans' benefit, we are delaying until the last minute, so it will be a surprise. Joe notices many similarities between her and Cruz, but they are things that Joe used to be. Cruz is a self-reliant individual who genuinely believes in her team and in individuals. That occasionally forces her to consider the objective and the lengths she will go to in order to complete it. Joe reconciled with that some time ago. Boy, oh boy, the stakes are increasing. Attracting young patriots who are hungry and will stop at nothing to be allocated to the Lioness program is not enough. Additionally, Joe must interact with other groups among military members and either recruit them or remove any resources they may possess. The only option available to them is to join. We will gain a better understanding of Westfield. The one on the hot seat is one of the most interesting individuals in my opinion. He has a backbone even if he can be aloof at times and has a tendency to make bad choices. His layers will be revealed to us. Morgan Freeman's character must use sound judgment because he has the authority to authorize and approve a lot of things. It's amazing to watch Morgan move about a room and take on this role. Every time we work with him, Nicole, Michael, and I are in shock. Indeed, the germ of what happens in life when you start to become afraid instead of fearless was sown in season 1. You understand that risking your life could jeopardize your family's structure, your connection with your partner, and your children. We will witness the extent of the sacrifice and the toll it is beginning to take on Joe in season 2. Joe will make every effort to indulge her family without sacrificing her loyalty or her oath. A great deal of stress is present. Ultimately, though, Joe and her husband Neil, Dave Annabelle, have a lovely and sincere love story, and they would stop at nothing to ensure the safety and well-being of their girls. We will be on the edge of our seats as Jo leads her crew through various missions in each episode. Much additional training was required for that. I always have a tendency to condition myself. I've always felt that I have a connection to my body, and as a former ballerina, I shape it to fit the type of role and movie I'm working on. I collaborated with my trainer on this one, and the cast was trained by a former Navy SEAL. I am glad that it was weight training because I dislike cardio, with one significant exception, Taylor Sheridan's Special Ops. Lioness is your typical by-the-book action espionage series. The female characters are at the forefront of the narrative, and their individual experiences, social pressures, domestic and military duties, and achievements in defying gender norms make for an engaging viewing experience. Special Ops. Lioness capitalizes on the premise by merely highlighting the additional advantage offered by female perspective in the conflicts and mess created by men. Since in most similar spy narratives, the role of women in on-field duty, infiltration, and information extraction is heavily understated or sidelined. Though it's by no means a deal-breaker, the narrative treatment itself seems a little out of date because of the Navy expressed by the military glorification and lack of nuance when presenting the conflict between the opposing forces of the Army and terrorists. Special Ops. Lioness's debut season was well-received and attracted large audiences. Let's look at everything you need to know to easily jump into the flow as the upcoming season drops later this week. The series Lioness program is based on the actual CIA covert military operation during the 2003 Iraq War, in which a select group of female soldiers were sent to infiltrate terrorist organizations and rebels in order to prevent the illicit smuggling of weapons using female sleeper cell agents. These covert agents frequently had to handle direct combat scenarios in addition to spying tasks. The TV show goes one step further with its own adaptation of the Lioness program, which trains a select group of female agents to live a double life in order to win the trust of the opposition, kill targets to reduce collateral damage, and simultaneously extract and manipulate information. The show, which is set in the present, centers on Jo McNamara, the head of the Lioness program. She is a fierce leader whose commitment to the troops is both praiseworthy and risky for her own safety. With Nicole Kidman's character Caitlin Meade as the program's top overseer, Byron Westfield as Caitlin's boss and the deputy director of the CIA, and Morgan Freeman's character Edwin Mullins as the Secretary of State overseeing everything, an administrative structure is swiftly constructed. The dangers of the Lioness program are introduced in the first episode as Jo, who is stationed at the CIA to fight ISIS, sacrifices one of the Lioness agents, Isabel, after she is compromised during the mission. It was a difficult decision, but Jo decided to go with the latter option to spare Isabel a terrible fate, rather than have the terrorists torture the spy to death to get information or launch an airstrike to destroy the enemy base and the agent. The truth of state-propagated conflicts is that, despite the program's demanding nature, operatives are viewed as nothing more than a liability when things go wrong. Jo must spend most of her time away from her family, her husband, Neil, a pediatrician, and their teenage daughters, Kate and Charlie, because she is the head of the Lioness program. Although Neil is a sympathetic and helpful husband, he too has a lot on his plate with dealing with his girls, managing his career, and Jo's absence when it counts most. In order to protect her girls from danger, Jo keeps the truth about her line of work a secret from them. However, Kate finds this to be upsetting and has begun to hate Jo. Jo finally realizes how much Kate has failed as a parent after she is involved in a horrific car accident, and it is revealed that she was also pregnant. In the wake of this incident, Kate promises her husband Neil that she will leave the agency in order to choose a career that will allow her to spend more time with her family. However, by the end, it's still unclear if Jo can follow through on his pledge and if she really puts her family first. A large portion of Special Ops' first season's narrative focus is Cruz The most recent addition to the Lioness program stays with Lioness. Cruz is a survivor who has faced progressively difficult circumstances throughout his life. Cruz had to fend for herself from an early age after losing both of her parents, and she eventually became involved with an abusive lover who made her life extremely difficult. Unable to endure his cruel treatment of her, Cruz made the decision to fight back one day. Coincidentally, as she fled from him, Cruz found herself in an army recruitment office. Cruz didn't have to look back from that moment on, since she used her inner anger and pent-up emotions to train and become a highly proficient Marine, outperforming her male friends in the process. When Joe recruited Cruz and put her through a terrifying training program to satisfy the demands of her job as the newest candidate to the program, he believed that she was the ideal candidate for the Lioness mission, since she had no past to return to and no attachments to cling to. Joe pushed her friends to the edge because of Isabel's predicament, but she went above and beyond with Cruz to have her ready for any problematic situation. Cruz's first task turns out to be gathering information from Asmar Ali Amrohi, a prominent Iranian businessman and well-known supporter of terrorist activities in the Middle East. Cruz's mixed heritage gives her an edge as she forges a new identity and is tasked with winning the trust of his daughter Aliyah in order to get to Asmar. After some initial hitches brought on by a willful ignorance of the situation, Cruz quickly establishes a rapport with Aliyah by posing as Zara, a U.S. exchange student. Things don't go as planned because Cruz has to go with Aliyah and her socialite friends too frequently, putting her in danger. It starts with a pervert tampering with her drink to take advantage of her, but Joe and the rest of her Lioness unit are by her side, beating the living daylights out of the man while keeping their secrets. Cruz dodges a number of similar scenarios in which she nearly loses her cover but holds her own. Aliyah intends to make the final days of her freedom special by marrying Ihsan, a wealthy investor who most likely has connections to terrorist cells as well. Aliyah's love for Cruz, which was rather obvious from the start, makes matters much more difficult. Cruz, who is experiencing love for the first time, is torn between her obligations and her emotions because it was never safe to assign someone who has experienced emotional trauma to a position that requires gaining someone's trust. Cruz's dilemma is made worse by the fact that Joe is still preoccupied at the moment with a cartel crisis back in the United States, which almost puts the Lioness initiative on hold. When necessary, Caitlin, who is aware of Joe's difficulties in both her personal and professional lives, helps her get through difficult times and keeps Lioness afloat. By using binary distinctions and a firm reminder of the causes she is fighting for, Joe is able to bring Cruz's thoughts back to reality. However, Mullins and his advisors start to express their unease as Cruz gets to Aliyah's wedding location in Spain, where Asmar would also be present, out of concern that the operative's presence might make matters more difficult. Asmar is a high-value target for all of the world's major superpowers because of his connections to the Middle East's oil trade, and suddenly Mullins insists that Cruz leave her current position. Byron quickly informs the Secretary of State that the demand is futile because the mission is already in progress, and he is unwilling to play with his agents merely because the high seat requested it. When Byron shares the information with Caitlin, she informs him that it is too late to cancel the operation and that Cruz's only option is to finish her job by getting information from Asmar. However, as she exposes his disgusting patriarchal mindset, and he finds out that she was a former U.S. Marine, Aliyah's fiancé, Ihsan, begins to doubt Cruz's background. Cruz sees Asmar for the first time at night, still in shock about her final split from Aliyah, and they have a pleasant short conversation till Ihsan shows up to reveal Cruz's true identity. She is forced to ask for extraction after ruthlessly killing them both. Cruz is successfully rescued by Joe and her Lioness team, who engage Asmar's guards to bring her to safety. However, in doing so, they have angered Mullins and the other higher-ups, as the state's role in Asmar's death has caused the state's control over Middle Eastern oil to collapse. Cruz decides to leave the Lioness program because she despises herself for the person the mission has made her, and she snaps at Joe. She finally makes it back to her family, but it's unclear if Joe follows suit, although there isn't much revealed in the special ops. Lioness second season teaser. We do know that Joe didn't resign from her position as the head of the Lioness program, and that Cruz's tale most likely concluded with the first season. As the squad faces a new challenge in the second season, Captain Josefina Carrillo, another newcomer to the Lioness program, will have her mettle put to the test. With Byron and Mullins returning to work out their differences in strategy, Caitlin Meade appears to have a larger role to play in the forthcoming season. Let us know in your comments, and stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.